Then ethics checks. Also, you have to see checks and controls of subordinates and follow up on work performed. Now, always while working, always you have to see that the subordinates do the correct work, they do work according to their standards and follow up on their work. And also focus on productivity and quality. If the productivity is slow, not there, and the quality is not there, again your business will suffer. Yeah, so because of that reason, then you will be responsible. So always you have to see that these things are happening, because most of the people, they think that engineering job is a white collar job. It's a white collar job, all right, but yet then you have to go to the field and look, supervise your subordinates and so forth, and then make reports of the productivity, production, and the quality of work and so forth. You have to have reports and you have to assess them, and there's any room for improvement. You must see that how it should be improved, and supposing there are ways that you can cut down on the cost, you must sort of use your ingenuity and try to cut down on the cost. Those are ways you have to perform. Those are things that you have to perform while at work. Then also some people, some engineers think that once they graduate from the university or when they become chartered engineers, the learning is stopped. No, learning is not stopped. You will be learning till you die. Now, still I am learning, right? So, actually, lifelong learning is that. Now, actually, there are more methods, no more avenues for you all to learn now. Now, internet is there, so many other literature is there, where you can see what's happening in other parts of the world and in more developed countries, and try to adapt those things if it is suitable to Sri Lanka. So lifelong learning is a thing that is going on from the time you leave university right up to end of your career or even beyond that. Uh, then also when at work, it is very necessary that your subordinates are given very clear instructions of what exactly has to be done. Sometimes you have to do a small some calculations, analysis and calculation, and also sort of sketch and show what is really required. Sometimes the subordinates, you must understand, most of the subordinates are not sometimes educated as you are. They are technical officers, so they will not be able to understand when you sort of tell verbally. So therefore, always it's always better to sort of explain to them with some sort of a sketch. So I used to do at work. And also, whenever, as I told you earlier, defense subordinates, if they had carried out work justifiably. Now, here I would like to tell you about some experience that I had with regard to, we had to construct a underground sandblasting chamber at Ratmalana workshops, CME's workshops at Ratmalana. Some of you would have already gone there during the in-plant training period. So that sandblasting workshop, sandblasting was chamber was constructed in 1980s when I was a district engineer of the railway. So while this was being constructed, constructed during dry days, but all of a sudden it started raining. When it started raining, this particular chamber started floating, because the Ratnalana, you must be knowing, the water table is very high. So actually, the technical officer had not sort of anchored it properly. So that's why it started floating, and it was like a ship. So then, whatever it is, we sort of put our heads together, and we sort of put sort of anchored it onto the to the sides, and sort of jacked up a little, and while taking levels, we again lowered it to correct position. Right. So there were a lot of issues by my superiors saying that the technical officer has not taken proper action in anchoring, but I defended him, and because this happened due to the all of rain coming down all of a sudden at in great amount. So that's why this happened. So anyway, I was able to defend him, and then anyway we put it right, and now at the moment it is operating. Then also speak up with confidence to seniors and politicians with data and analysis. Yes, this is again where one day I one of my seniors called me that he told me, look here, so and so, I don't want to mention the minister's name. That minister wants the uh, uh, wire mesh on top of his boundary wall. So I told the particular senior, look here, we don't have allocation to do that work, because at that time, in it was costing about close to 100,000 rupees to do this biomesh. So it was a big amount of money. So I told him, no, we don't have allocations to do that. So kindly give me allocations, I will do it. So he told, no, 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 I'm going to tell the minister, if you are not doing it, I'm going to tell him. I told, okay, it's okay, telling and reporting me to the minister, but actually I cannot go against the financial regulations. Then, then since he told me that he's going to report, I went to my office and put a letter back to him saying that as per your instructions, I will be able to carry out this work as long as you give me a allocation or a code charge to what I should debit this work for. Then after about 1 or 2 days, the code charge came, the allocation came. Right. So I then carried out the work. So this is how you have to speak up with the seniors. And there are certain other instances where I had to speak the same with politicians, because now one of the politicians told me when I was general manager railways, there was a land which has to be given for parking of buses. So he wanted one of his own people to be given this land, so that on lease, so that he will pay a lease and he will make money from the parking of buses. So I told, oh, that cannot be done, Mr. Minister, because the issue is that according to the financial guidelines, we had to sort of advertise this land, and we had to get bidders for it, for the lease. And then he told me, look here, now all of the places, when the minister tells something, I mean, it has been done, but you're the only one who is not doing it. I told, that may be so, but I cannot face audit queries, because you, as a minister, you will be here for 5 years. After that, you will go away. But I had to be here till I go on pension, go on retirement. Therefore, I cannot do this. I will do it in the proper way. So then he told, then his person will not get it. I told that we will have to see if he bids properly, he will get it. So ultimately, I advertised it, and there were 3 or 4 bidders, and his person did not get it. Somebody else got it. So that's about all. So after that, the matter didn't come up again. So, but we had to speak to politicians accordingly and explain to them the correct way of handling various situations, especially with regard to finance. Then, then also I must emphasize with regard to teamwork. It's very, very important that you do your teamwork so that you get views and observations of your subordinates, your peers, as well as other professionals. Now, most of us, we think that we know everything, and especially civil engineers. I mean, we don't want to even speak to the architects. That is not quite correct. Architects have their own ways of thinking, and we can always sort of get their views also. And once and for all, we can do a good design so that it will be beneficial to the client. So, so the teamwork is very important. That is actually going to be value addition to your opinion and views. And also, with regard to when you manage organization, you have to show impartiality. Now, this happened to me very much in various instances when I was general manager of railways, where various I had to deal with various grades like drivers of trains, station masters, then the inspectors of track. Now, some of these people, drivers, sometimes they go against signals. That is also maybe due to carelessness or whatever it is, they go against signals. Then station masters, sometimes there's a cash shortage in their drawers. After selling tickets, there's a cash shortage. Then also in case of derailment, if it's a track fault, I feel the inspector of the permanent way. We call the track the permanent way. Permanent way inspector is responsible for not maintaining the track properly. Now all these things can cause very, except for station masters being out of other two instances, can cause big accidents in the railway, big accidents. So because that reason we had to, but in case of station masters, it's a cash fraud. It's a fraud. So all these three I view at the same way. Same way. I mean, whatever punishment given is not, I don't favor any particular grade. I sort of take this in the same way and give them equal punishments to all these issues. So that is what I mean by impartiality. I mean, if you sort of favor one particular grade, and then there'll be a lot of problems. I mean, there'll be people coming and saying, you're not impartial. I mean, you are favoring this particular grade and so forth, and then you will not be able to manage. So you have to be very careful when you sort of deal with this kind of thing, especially with punishment. When you punishments and then take disciplinary action against subordinates, you have to be very, very careful. Then listening to unions, yes. Now all sometimes people think that unions are always is a hassle. It's a difficult to deal with unions. No, unions sometimes come up with good arguments, good suggestions. Now sometimes they are very legitimate things that they come. Sometimes they for the enhancement of the department also they come up with good suggestions, like some rostering of locomotives. I mean, seen that the locomotives are used properly. I mean, there's no point investing on a locomotive which costs about $2-3 million. I mean, you just keep it parked for 12 hours of the day is of no use. So sometimes these unions they sort of give us suggestions how this could be rostered so that it could be utilized for a longer time. So there is one, and sometimes there are certain anomalies in salary anomalies in in the employees. So sometimes unions come and tell these things. So we had to get this anomaly sorted out by writing to the respective treasury or activities, treasury, and then to the management divisions, department of management, and get those things sorted out. Then same time with promotions, and sometimes they don't get promotions because there are stagnation. So then when we write to treasury and to the department of management, they provide supra grades, so more than the cadre, and then they are satisfied, that kind of thing. Then also the public. Now, especially I was dealing with the public because especially being in the railway, I mean, whenever there's a train they come and tell the minister as well as me, saying that this particular train getting delayed for so many days. Now, this kind of thing happened to me when I was working in the railway as general manager. Yeah, they came in numbers and told the minister that the Samudra Devi soon after the tsunami was getting delayed by every day by about 10 to 12 minutes, and they get delayed at work, and the red line is dawn for them. So so what I did was I got my vehicle down at 3 o'clock in the morning to my home, and I went in the vehicle to golf, and I got into Samudra Devi, and I traveled in the locomotive that day, and came back in Samudradevi locomotive, and I found that there was a place in Tilak living. There was a bridge which was under cribs. So the train was taking about close to 7 minutes to pass that bridge, which is on 5 miles per hour caution, because the train was a long train, Samudradevi. So what I did was, I knew that was the problem at Karutara. I told the controller, that to put this on the other line. Then he asked me, so if I put this on the other line, what about the train which is going to come down? I told that is not a important train. You put it on the other line. Let it go on the bridge on the previous. So that particular day, the train came on time because I took it on the other line. So afterwards, every day, till the bridge was repaired after about 2 or 3 months, till that day, controllers were told to take Samudradevi on the alternate line, on the land side line. So this is how, I mean, you had to deal with public, and public was commending me when they actually got down at Bambalapitiya and Kolupitia. They actually, I was Indian, and they waved at me and went to their workplaces. So this is how we had to sort of deal with the public, and this is another instance of commitment and dedication at work. Then also, one thing is, we had to be tenable to changes for efficiency and productivity. So there are various things which has to happen while the normal train service is going on. Sometimes we had to provide more train sets for pilgrimage. Sometimes some pilgrimage is coming, and you have to provide more trains. So you have to be tenable, because that gives productivity, because so otherwise so people buses to be put it to use. So, and I think what lot of diesel has to be put into use to take those buses. So, because that reason, it's always better to put more trains and take the passenger load in a train to Andhadupura. Then same with supposing there are a lot of diesel in a fuel to go to upcountry, it's always better to use the train rather than the buses to go upcountry. So, so sometimes when there's diesel to go to Haptale or Badulla or whatever it is, trains are around, special trains are arranged to take. So that's why I'm saying we should be tenable to changes, because within the normal service, these things have to happen for better efficiency and productivity. Then also, as I told earlier, the views of other professionals, doctors, all those marketing people, all are their views and how they sort of practice ethics in their own profession. We should know. Actually, then we can adopt those things to our profession also.